Hello everyone, this is Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity. It is Friday, June 16th, 2017. This is your weekly update. Look, we're a learning organization at Peak Prosperity. It's all about what we can learn. And here's what we know about what's happened lately. First, we're in the most extraordinary sets of bubbles ever. This is because your central banks, if you're listening to this and you are in one of the developed nations, that means the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, or the Federal Reserve applies to you. They've destroyed your future. They've blown the biggest sets of bubbles ever, and they've done it in reverse Robin Hood sort of a fashion, taking from everybody, stealing from Granny, stealing from pensions, stealing from retirees, sweeping it all up and giving it to just a very few big players. And then, of course, to help them pull this off, they couldn't have done it by themselves. What they needed was the assistance of the very ultra-compliant media to help them tell this tale that what they were doing was God's work, really important, can't be questioned. Of course, your senators and congressmen in the United States don't ask a single hard question about why it's appropriate for a central bank to become the largest landlord in America, or in the case of Japan, the largest single owner of equities, or in the case of the Swiss National Bank, one of the largest owners of U.S. corporate equities because they printed money out of thin air and bought stuff. We should be asking these questions, of course, but we don't. And the reason we don't is because the answers are uncomfortably awkward when you have to try and give them, which is we're picking winners and losers. If Janet Yellen was going to be just completely honest, she would say, I'm picking winners and losers. I've decided that Granny loses in this story. I've decided that retirees should lose. I've decided that young people should lose in this story. I think that houses should be unaffordable for millennials. I think that young people should enter a destroyed job market where not only are there very few jobs out there, but the ones that are there are either part-time or pay really bad or both. And of course, if she said that, it creates that's awkward answers, right? So they don't say that. They talk about full employment, right? So listen, you live in a world of complete and daily and repetitive propaganda. Propaganda is information that is designed to mislead, usually for a political or some other set of purposes, with an emotional carrier signal built into it, right? That's what propaganda does. It drives the emotions higher. And one of the best ways to do that is to just lie to people flat out, and that cognitive dissonance creates the emotional experience that you're looking for to get your message across. So today, on Bloomberg, online, above the fold, talking about how the United States economic expansion is probably going to be the longest one on record. And they cited data in there like a robust job market. What? Robust job market? Hang on. We have more people out of work than at any other time. And the only reason you can claim we have a robust job market is because we don't count people who are out of work. And by the way, it's a record number of people out of work, not working, not counted, so that we can say robust job market. Which, of course, if you have a job, maybe you don't notice this, but if you are looking for a job, you know exactly what I'm talking about, which is it ain't a robust job market. And when they talk about how we have this strong, economic expansion, and part of the reason for that is because inflation is so low. Yeah, otherwise you'd have to deduct inflation from the economic statistics. Inflation's low. House prices in every single major metropolitan area of consequence in the United States are now beyond their former bubble peaks. Rental prices in apartments for any one of these major cities also just at absolute peak levels. If you are one of these unfortunate people like myself who has to buy their own health insurance, of course, you've seen fewer products, higher prices, just massive. What are you talking about? Low inflation. So here's what happens. Cognitive dissonance is when your experience and what you're being told are two entirely different things. And so that's the world we live in. We're being told this, we're experiencing that, it's creating a lot of stress and strain. And of course, we see that show up in the quality of the protests and how we have two camps of people that seem to be pitted against each other, and they're doing it wrong because these people are actually on the same side. They don't understand that they shouldn't be fighting each other, that it's not the police against the homeless in Dallas, or it shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be the left against the right in Berkeley. Look, people, you're being played. You're being shocked, that's true, but you have to understand the nature of the shocks, who's administering them and for what purposes. These aren't accidental shocks. Janet Yellen didn't just accidentally decide to steal all that money from retirees and give it to the big banks. That was a matter of policy. It was a decision. It was a calculated decision. It was made with the intention of achieving a certain outcome. And mission accomplished, right? So that's the world we live in. Now, Peak Prosperity. We are a learning organization. There's a lot of context you have to know in order to understand what's happening and then make appropriate decisions and take actions. So this week I'm going to be talking about something. It's a concept that's come up a couple of times recently, most recently in a podcast with Steen Jacobson, the CIO of Saxo Bank, talking about this thing called a credit impulse. He's looking at that and saying, looks to me like the world is getting ready to enter a recession, very high probability. Of course, this will be big news. And we've seen this credit impulse come up in a piece I recently wrote. So I'm going to take that apart. I'm going to look at it more completely. I'm still looking at all the economic data that says at a macro level, this is not a robust economy, obviously. But if you understand the credit impulse, you now have a piece of information that's critical for you to understand what's really likely to come and why the world is probably entering a really turbulent period of financial and economic time. So that would be something that I would love for you to come by and check out. Again, we also have a really robust community of people at Peak Prosperity discussing as well Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you want to understand these, not just from what the prices are doing, but what do these technologies really represent, come by, take a look at that incredible forum that we've got going on there, some real local experts who've been on this every step of the way. So with that, I'm Chris Martenson. I'll see you next week.